First of all, I really appreciate for inviting me to this place. Actually, I'm just a student at the beginning of my career, so you can imagine that I'm very familiar with failure experience and setbacks. So that painful experience. But what I would like to share with you is not just a simple success story, but rather a story of how one can see failures and setbacks as painful but helpful experience on the way to the maturity, and how one can find something positive even in the experience seems purely negative at first. As one just started, failures are always near at hand, obviously. I thought, in many times facing this kind of experience, I thought about the meaning of failures. Many of us stay exposed to this kind of experience, and the possibility of that could be much more than people of other fields. And some of you could already have the answer about this problem, but for me, it is still going on and related to identical matters. I use sand as a main material in video art. This is my latest work. This is a sound installation using sand. First work was exhibited on World Haptics Conference this year, and this was exhibited on Pyeongchang Biennale. The shining things on the structure is white sand. So you can see it. Depending on a shape and height of sand, it makes a sound and color. And it makes a sound only when it is touched by user. This work was especially loved by young children. I was so happy to see children enjoy my artwork because first inspiration came from the psychotherapy tools using sand. So I was so happy to see children. The aim of this work was integrating senses of haptics and hearing and sight using just one interaction. On the other hand, there was a very realistic problem for this kind of work. And many times I have to do many unnoticed tasks because there was no help, no money, no support. So I had to do many, like ordering, delivery, painting, placement, equipment. But these are common things for installation. The most scary thing was this. I could make many mistakes, and I cannot redo sometimes. So I'll tell you about my prototypes before. Especially, this is first version of a previous work. I just put sand in a paper box at the time. And this is another prototype exhibited on my advisor's gallery. The concept of this work was digitalized mandala. Do you know what the mandala is? Mandala is sand drawing used in Buddhist art. Yes. So to draw an image, I used 24 solenoids and one stepping motor. I think you will never figure out the images, what it is. I'll tell you later. Anyway, to rotate the round-shaped disc, I used the stepping motor, but I used it wrong way at the time. I turned the disc using my finger at the time exhibition. Although for my advisor, it was not a problem, but for me it is very unacceptable and very shameful for me. This was my first installation, first media installation during the undergraduate student, and this is the second version of this. still hard to know what images is making. Moreover, the process was more complex than previous work. There was a sand recycling system. And this is my first official exhibition during undergraduate student, and the image was human's face. There is a camera capturing human's face instantly, and it makes a human's face black-white image. First and second exhibition was very successful. Many people enjoyed it, and the audience response was very positive. But there was a trap of failure. I didn't know that. At the same time, this work was chosen as a Da Vinci Idea project sponsored by Seoul Foundation for Arts and Culture. I thought it looks like very successful already, and eventually this work I was failed at the last stage. First step as an artist, but I screwed up by myself. Though this was because of my intention or greed to develop more and more, and it causes technical problem. But the point of the matter was this: I know the problem before, but I couldn't prepare them by myself. Although many media artists are close to failure experience, this was related to responsibility matters, so I couldn't justify myself. Experiencing small or big failure, it was usually not to deal with, and this is just one example. But for me, failure was more accurate way to see who I am more than successful experience. This is not just personal or just personal opinion. Failure is really objective to everyone, and the reason I call the failure healing process is I could get my identity from failure experiences, and I could get a color and chance to be a starting media artist. Of course, most of us are not perfect, and that's why we are close to this kind of experience. But I believe my failure experiences gave me a passion for success and made me more unique. Thank you.